All right, in this After Effects, we're going to get into blending modes, which is what's causing this um, background to fade into the text. So we're also going to be getting into talking about, we're going to add an animation preset and also talk again about range selectors and animators and look at some solids. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's do a new composition. 850 by 480 is fine. Let's call this one text 1. And doesn't matter about the background. We'll change our duration to about, let's go about 4, let's try 5 seconds. I'll change 4. Okay. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a background. So in our animation presets here, we're going to have the first one should be backgrounds. And we have a whole array of backgrounds we can select from. I'm going to choose river. I'm going to drag it into the area, and it comes out as a solid. So it creates its own solid when it does that. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to hit the return button, and it's going to allow me to rename it. So I'm going to call this water BG for background. And now I'm going to add some text. So let's close out of here. Select my text tool. You can write whatever text. We'll call it blue water. I'm just going to change it up a little bit. Maybe the top one, maybe make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, maybe the second one, the second line of text, maybe a little bit smaller. Maybe stretch it out a little bit. And my top one got a lot too small there. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, now I think the first thing I'm going to do is what we went over in our last lesson. I'm going to open up the blue water text, and right under here on this first section under the text, there's an animate. I'm going to add a fill color, RGB, and that changes our text to red automatically. And I want to go ahead and give that a keyframe right there on the first frame. I'm probably going to have this about 3 seconds, so maybe about 1 second. I'm going to change it to about maybe kind of darkish yellow or an orangey color. And then maybe move over to 3. And we'll change that to blue, kind of a darker blue. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to the beginning, and where it changed the red, I'm going to open up my range selector here, and I'm going to do a keyframe in the beginning for the start. I'm going to see if I can try to go from white into the red. So let's go ahead and we got it started, and we're just going to move our time indicator a few frames, and I'm going to move it to 100. And there it goes from red to white, but I want it to be the opposite. So I'm just going to switch these frames. I'm just going to go move this one over here, move this one back to the beginning. I'm making it about 15 frames. So now it goes from back to the beginning, but it reveals it from white to red. and then just changes from red to blue, or from red to yellow to blue. Okay, so now I got some animation with the color. All right, now the next thing I want to look at is the blending modes. So these are basically modes where you can just for two different layers, this top layer and the layer underneath, it kind of blends them together. It can just give you some weird effects. You can either try some out by just kind of clicking on it and just kind of going in and seeing what each one might do. Some of them don't do anything, especially when it's under white. Usually you have more luck if it's a color. As you can see, and color burn. That one looks pretty good. A good way to just kind of scroll through them to see if you want to see what you want to do is select your layer of text or your top layer, whatever layer you want it to look at, and then hit Shift and then your plus and minus buttons, and that will scroll through all of them. And we can kind of go through there and kind of see what you like. Just kind of going through and seeing what looks good. And on this one I kind of end up with color burn. Although in the beginning my white doesn't really show up. Let's see if there's anything else that might show the white. Add. It gives it kind of a see-through look. Okay, we can try that. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to add an animation preset to give it some animation. So I found a blog, a very nice blog here, Motion Island. And here you can kind of go through and look at all the different presets that After Effects offers, considering a lot of people are having problems with it working in Adobe Bridge. So this is an option that you can use if your Bridge previews aren't working. And so basically I looked through here and I found one that I kind of liked. It kind of goes with a watery motion, and we'll try this one. It's wind current. So now I come over here, my presets, and I'm going to look under text, and it was under organic, and it was wind current. Okay, so I'm going to drag that onto my text and see how that looks. That looks pretty good. Kind of wobbles around with the water. Okay, and I think that's it for this lesson.